So let's start. It's 10 p.m. in Berlin. The news for today. We are here to speak about digital art and AR filters with Zaiba Jabbar, the founder of HERVISIONS. My name is Annika. Johan König and I, we curate the digital exhibition series The Artist is Online together. And this week we speak to experts in the field of net art, post-internet art and digital art. And my guest tonight is Zaiba. She founded the platform HERVISIONS, where she presents female net artists. So let's welcome her to the show. And she already sent a request to be in our live video. Waiting to connect. It's connecting. There she is. Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Great to see you.
Good evening. Yes.
How are you? Good?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm okay considering. I think this is a very strange time for all of us to be kind of living through. But yeah, it's nice to be here and thank you for the invitation.
Welcome. So let's start speaking about what you're doing on the internet. So I was wondering, what is your background?
So, where do I start? I mean, I don't have a typical curatorial sort of background. I actually studied graphic design at Central St Martin's, an art school here in London, and I got into directing, and I'm an award-winning director. I've worked in filmmaking, music videos, making content, commercial work. So I've worked in a very sort of commercial sector in terms of moving image, and through I guess the sort of this kind of more sort of in industry sort of focused commercial sector of moving image, I founded my frustrations of working in a white male dominated industry, which led me to kind of want to explore more sort of femme focused moving image practices, and a lot of art that I was experiencing on social media. I founded HERVISIONS, which is my platform which supports and promotes non-binary and female identifying artists working in new media, and specifically interested in the intersections of art, technology and culture, and how I think people on the margins are making are using technology to create art outside of traditional formats of filmmaking, essentially, which is kind of that's my kind of interest is how, you know, how people are using the tools that they have access to, and how people on the how marginalized and sort of gender minority groups are specifically kind of navigating spaces. And I think that's why sort of digital art is something that I'm really sort of interested in, because it talks to this kind of it talks to a sort of new materiality or medium of expressing oneself outside of you know, there's something quite democratic, and I'm really about this sort of language of the internet. And
your tools are, you are very active on Instagram, right? It's HERVISIONS. People can see it in the upper corner and start following you. And you have a website, but you're not only active on the internet, which is like the best part, because you bring the art to the people in sort of like the real world, and you can curate exhibitions. You've worked with the Tate in London. So, I mean, what was first? Was Instagram first and then the exhibitions, or did you start with exhibitions and then you started the Instagram?
Good question, Annika. Yeah, so okay, well, this is I was really fascinated by the art that I was experiencing, like online in solitude, through social media, and that's really you know, my frustration as a filmmaker and as a director led me to find to look to post-internet art, post-internet aesthetics, digital art through social media. And I actually, I launched HERVISIONS on the rooftop of a hotel in downtown LA, like 4 years ago, and it was really, I guess then it was an event. It started with a real event, and it was a sort of networking space to support and promote female creatives or female identifying artists. And it's a bit of a weird one, because I guess I was inspired by Instagram, but then or social media, and then I guess I kind of had to. It was all about sort of translating what I could find from the small screen into a big screen. So it was like trying to kind of transfer these dialogues and narratives that I felt were undiscovered, I think, at the time. And it's funny, because I look back and it was like through Instagram there was just like all these Instagram famous kind of people almost or personalities that were just it's like self-publishing, and I mean there's a lot of politics around, obviously, these techno-capitalist centralized platforms as well, which I struggle with these sorts of dynamics as well, of how these kind of platforms work, but I think ultimately I was always really, I'm for supporting and promoting emerging artists, and these platforms do facilitate this conversation. So it was really about sort of they go in tandem, really, the events and Instagram. I think it's like URL IRL.
The funny thing is, and you ended up very quickly with many of the emerging artists from the internet at the Tate in London. I think that was last summer or so.
Yes.
And the topic was sort of like I think it was a big event on net art, and you were part of some AR filter program.
Yes, so that was so the Tate had a program which was called The Lives of Net Art, and I was invited to create a space that was, I guess, in response, a sort of critical response to contemporary net art, essentially. And so and this was coming from a femme focused perspective. So I did it was a pop-up exhibition exploring face filters, and it was a Spark AR workshop where I curated some OBJ files that were donated by artists to use in the workshop, and so that people could explore creating their own face filters and looking at sort of visual bias and new beauty, and I guess it's not that the fact that there was this augmented reality exhibition is a new, like, augmented reality is a new thing, because it's been around for a while, but it was more about the fact that it was how accessible it's become, and how that's been made possible by Facebook and Instagram and these techno-capitalist companies. So it was, again, I'm really interested in how people are making, how people are creating, and using what's accessible. And I feel that was I had it was an amazing group of artists, and I think some that you're obviously very familiar with too. It was I can probably show you. So,
I have one question. I have one question. Then you can show us some of the female artists you support. I mean, what do you think? Why? I mean, there was a big AR filter boom, sort of like last year. Yeah, it was last year. So why do you think so many artists are interested in creating AR filters? I mean, there's so many, and so many good filters. We're going to launch one filter tomorrow morning on König Gallery, by the way.
Oh, it's very exciting.
Surprise.
Very nice. Yeah, can't wait. it's, you know, why? I mean, it's, I mean, it speaks to, you know, this very kind of like phantasmagorical, like kind of, or like ideals that we kind of want to perform within, I think. And like digital kind of really allows for, like, I'm obsessed with the aesthetic of digital, like, and how that kind of how it's there's something that's so, like, you can have so much, I think, independence around. And I think it's something that that sort of independence and that sort of like a kind of control over your own sort of like expression is something that, you know, can, and that can be layered into the world, and also, you know, augmented into to sort of your kind of isolation, I guess. I think is really, and especially now when we're going to be, you know, I can only see augmented reality getting growing further and further and in popularity in terms of a medium to actually kind of for artists to use. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it really triggers, you know, imagination and but also, you know, we are also living in this kind of like quite extreme time now, where we're going to really be needing some sort of I think alternative to our realities, that we're going to be, you know, boxed in. We're boxed in into like our screens and this kind of screenology that we're, you know, this sort of new accelerated digital language. I can't, you know, I can only see sort of augmented reality being a massive part of this kind of boom of digital technology and digital kind of communications. It's just, yeah. And I mean, I'm a huge fan in how this is how we can actually use this to kind of inform, I guess, like, you know, to inform new sort of ideas of, I guess, consciousness, and how that's going to kind of help us, hopefully, through these kind of strange moments that we're living through.
And yeah, I think that's a good answer. And do you want to show us some of the artists you've worked with in the past?
Yeah, where do I start? I mean, okay, so well, also, I wanted to also talk about, okay, so I'll show you some of the artists or things that I've been up to. I think on my switch the camera. So there's quite a lot of information on here, and I kind of like the idea of it being a bit of a sort of puzzle that you really have to kind of like take some time to solve, or not solve, or guess explore, I think is the main thing. But so where do I start? So shall I talk you through some of the projects that I've worked on?
Yeah, or you could, do you want to show us something by Nicole, for example? I think you've shown her work recently. Yeah, down there.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. So this was we did an installation that I collaborated with another studio As We Are, another curator, and this was part of during Miami Art Basel, and we curated, it was called an exhibition called Facetious Blues, and it was all about sort of like this kind of connection, or like and how we sort of you know, this sort of desire from connecting with online. And this is like, yes, yeah, so Nicole is a very so I'm just going to flick through some of the images. And then also that was with Inez Alpha, who's I'll just show you, sorry, Nicole's
Because Nicole is also being part of the exhibition, the group show Johann König and I curate.
Yeah, so and also this is another artist, Clara Becker, is a French artist who does like amazing filters and moving image animation as well. And then there's Alpha, is another artist, Molly Soda. She's great. I'm going to be working with her, I think, later on in the year, which is she's an sort of amazing internet artist. Sabelli, avatar performer. Also, this was part of a performance that I curated, which is part of an exhibition called Suspended Power, which I collaborated with London College of Fashion, and that was is all kind of like with Marishin Aliari. I don't know if you know her, and this is an exhibition that I did for Art Night as well, which was a sort of 3-site site-specific project, which was all based on using this kind of idea of unrequited love and how we kind of engage in digital technologies, and how through a femme-focused lens. And this is actually Sabrina Rotte's piece, which we had like this was in the Google headquarters in King's Cross, which was an amazing it was all about kind of like searching for self, searching for love, and that was in response to the 2 sites that were taken over at these internet cafes. But yeah, so that was a commission through Google Arts and Culture and Art Night as well. So yeah, that was a real pleasure, that project.
And what are you working on right now, for example? Are there projects you're working on, or has everything been stopped due to the lockdown?
It's been busy for me, I have to say. This is like I've been around for a bit. As I said, like this whole kind of situation has really accelerated digital language, and so I've been working. I've got a project that I'm working on with Arbeit Gallery, which is part of, I'll be in residence there, and Arbeit's an amazing gallery based here in London that focuses on art and tech, specifically more art and technology, and I'm working on a project called The Art of No Likes, and it's kind of trying to understand, it's a very experimental project, and it's kind of it's going to be a shape-shifting sort of research project, I think, which will it's trying to understand the economy of like and the standardizations of popularity that we have been conditioned to look at through, or we've been conditioned to through these kind of social media platforms. So it's I'm critiquing the systems that I've been I guess kind of I've been habitating, habitating, and it's like this kind of these kind of languages or these kind of processes that we are I guess kind of trying to exist amongst, is really kind of, I think, I don't know if it's going to be, we're now feeding these systems even more now, and I'm really trying to understand like how, like what are the alternatives really, and like can we kind of can we exist within this system and also kind of exist out of it as well, like what does that sort of look like. So I'm working with a few different artists, which I will announce shortly. And if people check back on the HERVISIONS website and also Instagram, there'll be some more information about that shortly, and also an art by gallery as well. And but that's going to be a year-long project that we'll be looking at, and we'll be hopefully exhibiting all of the results of this project in the next sort of next year in 2021, when we should be able to get back into some gallery spaces again. And so yeah, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, me too. Especially since it's a whole year, so many things are going to happen in that year when the, I don't know, exit strategy and so on. So it's going to be exciting no matter what.
I hope so, yes.
I mean, let's see, people, you can ask questions. You can send them behind the scenes using the question mark button on the bottom of the page.
I'm loving these like fire signs. It's very cute.
I mean, there are many of the artists. There are many of the artists on here.
Wednesday with. Kim, like, yeah, she's amazing. And also I can see Zarina is here from Art Night. Also I'm working on so during my I was curator in residence at Lux Moving Image in 2018, and I'm going to be going back to Lux, working with them in the next couple of months, working on a program called Out of Touch, and it's going to be exploring how do we stay in touch when we are out of touch, and it's all about kind of trying to understand these kind of digital new nuances or the new nuances of touch through you know, this kind of this screen-based existence that we're going to be existing in now. And so there'll be a multifaceted, diverse program.
Look who is there. It's Wade.
Right.
I had him on the show on, when was Wade? Oh, Wade was on Easter Monday.
Yeah.
And it's Wade Wallerstein who curated the massive online group show called Well Now What the Fuck.
Yes.
So hi Wade, do you have a question for us? We could also send you a question Wade. I mean, what I would be interested in, or maybe I guess the viewers as well who are not as familiar like the two of us with female net artists, I mean, can you recommend some of them? I mean, we have, what Johan and I are going to have Nicole on the show, and Ines Alpha, for example. Who else would you recommend? Hi, Johan, by the way.
Hey, I'm like, well, there's, I mean, like, if you look at like artists like Libby Heaney, who's working with kind of like, she's working on a project called Data Art Flow Pose, which is all about kind of trying to understand these the signifiers of data in kind of in sort of I guess male and female orientated algorithms that and connecting that to these kind of standardizations of pose, and so that's what Libby Heaney's a really interesting artist, and Sophia Crespo, who's works with more kind of she does like amazing kind of, I guess, like biologically inspired like technology projects, and so she does really beautiful like generative art that kind of really echoes these kind of very marine like and biology like organisms. So she's Sophia Crespo's a really interesting artist. I would say there's also there's an artist, Sandra Crisp, as well. I can show you some of her work. Yeah, she's doing some really interesting things. She's got some really interesting work, which kind of is about kind of, again, scraping this sort of internet for kind of, there's a video, Perpetual Browser here, which is about yeah, sort of fragments of video from online searches that populate kind of dynamic sort of virtual structures. So I'll just kind of play some of these. So she's she's a really amazing artist. So like look out for her. Then I don't know if you're familiar with Anna Ridler as well. Her project. She's quite well known in terms of she worked with. She's done a more speculative project recently, which is. So let me see if I can find her and show some of her work. Are you familiar with Anna?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who else? And then I've got there's so many amazing younger because I
I mean,
HERVISIONS
the
is really
easiest
about
thing would be people should just follow your page, right?
yeah.
I
Follow my
mean,
page.
I mean, just
Yeah.
follow her visions, and then you'll know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking to. There's an amazing artist, Denise Yap, that I'm speaking to, who's got this. She's a queer Singapore-based artist, and I'm talking to her because she's got this project, which is called Miss Q, which I think is really really lovely, and it's kind of video based, but it's all about kind of reappropriating or remediating this idea of what an orchard is, essentially. And she's kind of she's one to watch as well. Also, Handy Kim as well is really amazing. Does lots of kind of she's got some good notes for isolation here, I think, which are some different kind of ingredients that you might need for to get out of isolation or to get through isolation. But just blend all of these.
I mean, now you're back on topic, sort of like, or you got straight to the topic, which Wade is interested in with his question, because we asked Wade to ask you a question, and then he did, as kind as he is. So his question for you is: do you see the future of where do you see the future of your virtual space to be in an age of digital saturation? I mean, what do you think?
What do I think is the age of digital space?
Saturation. I mean, he's wondering what will happen to your practice, I guess, or what you're working in, now that everyone might be, I don't know, overwhelmed by the digital sphere somehow. So what do you think is going to happen to your project?
Well, this is a good question, because I guess it's been, what I've been doing is been relatively niche, and a lot of people haven't really necessarily understood much, I think, of what I was talking about, because they were like, who is this brown girl talking about gifts? Like, honestly, like four years ago, 4.5 years ago, that's what, that's kind of the position I was in. And now I think I'm interested in I think I'm most excited about pushing the form, and I think what's happened now is and the form of what this kind of landscape of digital culture or digital art or post-internet art is, and how does that exist? I know we was talking, Annika, earlier about this kind of there's an exhibition just called Social Media. And
but when was that? I mean, I was talking to Aram Bartol yesterday, a great net artist who's working with internet culture since like 20 years. We figured out yesterday that it's been 20 years, and he's been in a show at Pace Gallery. When was that? Earlier, 2015 or so. And he said the show was just titled Social Media. I mean, that's the same as you would do a show about, I don't know, net artists working these days, and you just call it Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, Instagram, yeah. I even have like a pen, on Instagram.
Yeah, no.
And I
Yeah,
have
I mean,
further ones.
so back to sort of where I think it's going. Well, I mean, based on sort of my own practice, which is really rooted in expanded moving image, and that's kind of everything I explore is about this dialogue that I have and that the people around me have with moving image. And that's, for me, you know, augmented reality is expanded moving image. So what are the new spaces that these processes or methods are gonna I guess find? I mean, I think it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot more sort of multi integral, I mean, I've always been interested in this physical and digital kind of space, and that's where this kind of like transfer of trying to explore what's happening on the smartphone and bringing it into IRL space. But now I'm going back onto the internet with projects that I'm exploring. So I mean, is there more beyond that? I think augmented reality is probably going to do something to that space. Like, you know, we're just having sort of performances within our four walls now, I think, and it's going to be so much more accessible. Like, what's an expanded platform beyond? Yeah, it's creating platforms within you know, your own environments, I think, and like just outside of your phone, perhaps. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, the next stage, you know, like, I'm not talking about like just having holograms downloaded into your room, but I mean, you know, these kind of is it more about physical objects that kind of translate into like outside of the experience of the gallery, you know, like you're not, is it more bespoke environments that, or more bespoke experiences where you can interact with artworks in a more intimate way, you know? I think it's looking at those kind of conversations, perhaps, Wade.
I think that was a good answer for Wade, and I think we're going to take the last question, and it's a very precise one. About someone wants to know, excuse me, what was the previous artist you introduced, the one with the cyanotype photographic work?
Yeah, Sandra Crisp.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Sandra Crisp. Yeah, she's doing some really interesting things. Also Brenna Murphy, someone else that I'm working with. She's doing some really cool stuff, and she's kind of looking more at like kind of like, I guess, kind of systems, and I'm also interested in systems of curating as well. So that's something that, you know, I feel is I think is kind of explored a little bit through my platform on Instagram, but it's much more of a sort of wider, you know, because a lot of what I do is very organic, and it's kind of driven by these kind of more organic sort of systems, and so that informs my curation, I think. So
people should just follow you. I mean, that would be the easiest, I guess, to stay informed about female digital artists. And then
yes,
is there, Kaken is there. Hey.
Hey, Kaken. Yeah, I worked at Kaken a lot as well.
Yeah, they're part of the show as well, and we're going
yes.
to have an online movie night.
Yes.
Sunday evening at 10. So we're showing a movie with Kaken. And we're going to launch their filter as well on the König Gallery account, but tomorrow morning we launch another filter.
Amazing.
So it's an exciting week. So thank you for being here with me.
Oh, thank you for having
taking
me.
the time.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
People, please follow her. Stay informed.
Stay informed. Thank you, Annika.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.